Congressman Ro Khanna just flew to the West Bank on what he called a trip to Palestine, and he claimed that violent Israeli settlers with American-made M4s detained him. He's demanding arrests, he's calling the Israeli government liars. Take a listen.
This should be an outrage to any American citizen, what happened. We were there seeing the Zanuda village, which Yanan Levy had destroyed, burned to the ground. Many American members of Congress had been there before. We drove up to the road, and these hoodlums with M4s circled our van. They started kicking the tires. They yelled insults. They said it didn't matter that we were Americans. People should look at the video. First of all, there was a New York Times photographer with us. There was journalists with us. There's a detailed account, but the people should look at the video. The video shows the IDF, 4 soldiers that are blocking us and detaining us.
A New York Times photographer just happened to be there, huh? Ro Khanna says his life was in danger, but he never testified that anyone pointed a gun at him or seriously threatened his life. Here's footage of the violent detainment that Ro Khanna described.
יש פה חבר קונגרס שדיבר, אני נדב, היי. יש פה חבר קונגרס אמריקאי. יש פה חבר קונגרס שדיבר עם השגרירות, והשגרירות מעורבת בזה, אז אני לא מצליח להבין את כל הסיפור. אתם יכולים להעיף את החבר'ה האלה. נכון, אסור לך להיות פה, משטרה כבר אמרה לך שאסור לא להיות חלק מהצבא. זה קצת שלא שיכול לפקודות מהם. מה המשטרה? הבנתי, אז אתם בוחרות לא לסייע במצב הזה. אתם בוחרות לא לסייע, זה הסיפור.
So let's get this straight. Ro Khanna sneaks into Israel without notifying any authorities. While there's an active war going on, mind you, he boldly wanders straight into a restricted military zone, gets stopped and questioned, and now this man is crying victim? He went to the West Bank. That's a historic hotbed for terrorist attacks, and it is true that Israel has privatized some security there. Reportedly, there are community defense squads, which are primarily volunteer forces that monitor for suspicious activity and protect local communities in coordination with the Israeli army. Now, Saturday is Shabbat. On Shabbat, people living in Jewish communities don't drive. On Shabbat, Ro Khanna's team drove off the road, which likely looked suspicious, and the first response team there was activated to investigate it. That is what appears to have happened. What I think is strange is that Ro Khanna did not tell anyone he was going to be in the area, which he openly admitted. He was not traveling in a way that identified him as a congressman. He wasn't in a government-marked vehicle. Because Ro Khanna didn't tell anyone he was going to be in the area, it took a lot of time to confirm his identity with the Israeli army. Ro Khanna said he went under the radar and not with the Israeli government's guidance by design so he could avoid a trip micromanaged by Israeli PR, and he wanted to see the raw truth of the Palestinian struggle.
Even more offensive than Netanyahu's responses, and knowing that I was detained, an American congressman, was the Israeli ambassador's responses on Face the Nation. He says, how dare Ro Khanna go on a trip to the West Bank, Palestinian-led. He informed us he was going, but he didn't take up our offer to meet and coordinate with the Israeli government, as if that justifies being detained. I did that on purpose. I've been to Israel multiple times. I wanted to see the West Bank from the lens of the Palestinians.
Ro Khanna's giving off this impression that it was supposed to be this incognito, fact-finding mission, but in reality, it just looks like he intentionally wanted to stir up trouble for a good old-fashioned political stunt. He skipped a meeting with actual October 7 hostages and survivors, people who lived through Hamas's massacre. He condemned October 7th, then immediately pivoted to accusing Israel of covering up for these soldiers trying to secure the area, while an anonymous, not yet declared U.S. congressman inserted himself into a hot zone with the media in tow.
Sir, why did you not coordinate with Israel on this, knowing they're staunch allies of the United States, knowing the recent history of the October 7th massacre, and most importantly, why did you decline to meet with Jewish survivors of the Hamas terror attacks on October 7th?
The ambassador is lying. We did inform.
Sir, at a certain point, if everybody is lying, sir, you have now said the ambassador is lying, the IDF is lying, the U.S. Embassy is lying. at a
No,
certain
the U.S.
point...
Embassy I praised. I praised the U.S. Embassy. The ambassador is blatantly lying. And the reality is that we coordinated with Israel. How did I get through and back? I had been to Israel 3 times before. I met with Prime Minister Netanyahu before. I met with Prime Minister Bennett.
Let's remember who Ro Khanna is. He's an attention seeker and a phony. A whole crew of Silicon Valley business people are testifying that Ro Khanna kissed up to them a while back and pretended to be this capitalist centrist and then did a 180 and started cozying up to the Democratic Socialists of America, which is communist. Entrepreneur David Marcus said, after the last presidential election, Ro Khanna reached out. We had a short meeting where he pitched himself as the centrist, pro-Doge, pro-Elon Democrat. I didn't follow up. He then steered hard left to feed his ambitions. This man blows with the wind. I have the receipts. Hedge fund CEO Bill Ackman said, I had the same meeting with him, a total and complete fake. Another tech guy wrote, everyone in Silicon Valley, including me, thought Ro Khanna was a moderate pro-tech guy. He spent a decade specifically cultivating that image. I mean, Silicon Valley is literally in his district. He ran and won on a pro-tech message. At some point in the last 12 months, he decided to lean into the conspiratard, dirtbag DSA left, for reasons completely unknown, eviscerated his entire stock of social capital. This is a politician that will clearly do any level of pageantry for clicks and clout. And the momentum now lies with the DSA, with Mamdani, with Chevalier, AOC, and Bernie Sanders. Ro Khanna wants higher office desperately, and he thinks theater like this, pandering to the anti-Israel DSA, is the way to get there. He even endorsed the hot new candidate for Democratic Socialists in Maine, communist Graham Plattner, after it was discovered he had a Nazi tattoo and was credibly accused of domestic abuse. Ro Khanna has just recently backtracked and said he regrets that endorsement now that a whopping rape allegation has surfaced against Graham Plattner, and there's a lot of evidence there. Ro Khanna's career in this Israel trip was fundamentally about vanity. He told the media this after the spectacle. I felt powerless in that situation, which is not an easy thing, as I have a lot of privilege in life. Free advice to the Israelis. It's not a good idea to detain long-shot presidential candidates. Not how you're going to build goodwill with the next American president, whoever that is. This is what Gen Z calls a pick-me. In that short blurb, Ro Khanna is flattering himself as the future US presidential material we need and signaling virtue to the left by acknowledging his privilege. It's nauseating. I mean, he's not wrong, though. For a guy who's a fan of the DSA now and their billionaire hatred, he has some pretty obscene oligarchic wealth. His 2 kids under 10 years old own 3 private golf courses in Ohio. Not a joke. His wife drives a $190,000 luxury Range Rover, and his house has a 4-story indoor elevator. That's all from the Washington Free Beacon. What Ro Khanna did in Israel wasn't a principled foreign policy objection either, by the way. Ro Khanna has made it clear to many that he doesn't really believe in anything concrete. It's pandering to the loudest voices in the Democratic primary pipeline, while his own district deals with real American problems. Israel isn't perfect, no democracy in a war zone is, but when a US lawmaker provokes an incident, gets escorted, then spins it as threatening American lives while downplaying October 7th, that's not courage, that's congressional cosplay. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below and hit that subscribe button so we can keep the party going. I'm Caroline Downey of National Review, signing off.